So we got naming molecular compounds and naming molecular compounds. Molecular compounds are put together with covalent bonds. So this is something to point out to yourself right now. It's maybe not something that you get yet, but covalent bonds. You're going to be looking for two nonmetals. If you have two nonmetals, I'm in front of a live audience. If you have two nonmetals bonded together, then we are going to name it in this particular way. Before you were looking for a metal and a nonmetal, now you're looking for two nonmetals. And the way you name it is pretty easy. You write the name of the first element along with a prefix. The prefix is going to indicate how many of those atoms are there. Then you write the IDE name. So maybe you looked at this before, right? For chlorine, chlorine becomes chloride. Oxygen becomes oxide. Nitrogen, nitride. So you write the IDE name for the second element, along with the prefix, telling you how many of those atoms there are. So these are the prefixes. Right? We've got mono, although mono I think we hardly need at all. I don't even think we should be using it. Other than carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is what we call carbon monoxide, but I see no reason why we need to say there's one. It's assumed. So mono, di, tri, tetra, penta, hexa, hepta. This is the one that I see people make mistakes with most often. People write septa all the time, right? It's hepta. So octa, nona, and deca. So this is, you need to know up through deca. There are more prefixes beyond that, but we're not going to be doing that. So no elisions except for monoxide. An elision is when you combine a prefix and a stem and you cut out one of the letters. So we're not cutting out these letters. So monoxide we do. But for any others, you write tetraoxide, not tetroxide. So tetraoxide. You do not need mono. I don't need you to write that there's one unless it's an old name like carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is what people call it, what people know it as. So changing it to carbon oxide would actually be a little more confusing, even though carbon oxide should just be one of each. All right, so let's just look at a few examples. I have C2F6. So we see, oh, carbon. I see it find it on the periodic table. It's in the nonmetals section. That's the point. Fluorine is in the nonmetals part. All right, we got two nonmetals, so we're going to name it with these prefixes. So we got carbon. We just name the first element along with a prefix for two, which is di. So this would be dicarbon. And fluorine becomes fluoride. Make sure to spell that correctly. F-L-U-O-R-I-D-E. And we've got a 6, so this would be hexafluoride. So dicarbon hexafluoride. Pretty straightforward. Next one, we have chlorine and fluorine. Fluorine again. I picked 7 because hepta is the one that people have trouble remembering. So chlorine and fluorine are both nonmetals. They're both in group 17, which is called the halogens. So chlorine. Well, we've got one chlorine, but I just told you I don't really want to see mono all over the place. Right? So we just write chlorine. And since there is no prefix, you know that it's 1. Right? Just like when we write the formula, we don't write the 1 here. We just assume it's a 1. So the next one is heptafluoride. And the last one is N3O5. You find nitrogen on the periodic table. It's in group 15. Oxygen's right next to it in group 16. Those are both nonmetals. Once you see you have two nonmetals, now you're looking for prefixes. So nitrogen, first element, we get the full name, and there's 3 of them, so it's trinitrogen. And we've got 5 oxygens, so this would be pentaoxide. All right, so that's naming molecular compounds. What you want to look for are two nonmetals. Right? And if you like this video, just push the little button.
The like button.
The like button.
Hit the like button.